My father, Harold Hillier, founded the company in 1923, but prior to that, he was a bomber pilot in the Royal Flying Corps in the First World War, flying the de Havilland DH-9A. On leaving the forces, he acquired land in Broadway, Rodboncini, and started a building company. Among the buildings he built were the Church Hall in Cheney Manor Road and Broadway House, 252 Whitworth Road. He also replaced one of the 4 pinnacles on the tower on St Mary's Church, which came down in a gale. Building business was bad in the early 20s, so a cousin of Harold's, one Jack Hillier of Hillmarton near Calne, who was the local carpenter, wheelwright, joiner, undertaker and jack of all trades, suggested to Harold that he started carrying out funerals. This he did in 1923, but instead of a hearse, a hand bier was used to carry the coffin. In the early 1920s, Rodboncini was very much out of Swindon, there being fields between the two. So in 1932, number 55 Victoria Road was purchased and used as the office and also our residence. Of course, the premises at Broadway were retained as the practical hub of the business. With the advent of war in 1939, many difficulties faced the company. Many of the eligible staff were sent to the war, myself included. Harold had to rely on retired men, mostly ex-employees from the Great Western Railway. We had a contract with the American forces to embalm deceased casualties, provide a casket, dress in uniform and deliver to the Great Western Railway Station for onward transmission to Woking Cemetery and later to the American Military Cemetery at Cambridge. I recall that for the embalming we were paid 5 guineas and £5 for the coffin. Another difficulty was because of petrol rationing. Private motoring was banned and we were only allowed to take a hearse to Oxford Crematorium as there was no crematorium in Swindon in those days. No cars were allowed to go. Usually, a service was held in a local church and then the Rolls-Royce Phantom II hearse was taken to Oxford with 6 passenger mourners, 3 each side of the coffin. All coffins were handmade. We purchased a butt of elm or oak, and these were cut into planks and dried in the yard, which is now the car park at Broadway. This process took about 2 years. After the war, new machinery was purchased and the manufacturer was made easier. Included was a Taylor Hobson engraving machine. Previously, the coffin plates were hand-painted or hand-engraved. Today, the engraving is done on a computerized machine. Eventually, the machinery was sold, and now the coffins are purchased from an outside source. Many different styles and designs are available, which were unheard of in earlier days. There were no parking facilities at 55 Victoria Road, so in 1992, with the advent of double yellow lines, we moved the office to 170 Victoria Road, formerly a doctor's surgery, which had about 8 parking spaces in Cross Street. In 2018, a derelict garage in Letchlade Road, Highworth was acquired, and then new funeral premises were built with all the facilities except the coffin production, which is still centred at Broadway, Rodboncini. In 2021, it was realised that we had outgrown the office in Victoria Road, as as there was only one interview room. Kings Hill House was then on the market and was eventually purchased. It is a Grade 2 listed building, so we had to abide with certain rules imposed by English Heritage. After many months of work and the determination and foresight of Mark, Valerie and Rebecca, a rather run-down old building was turned into the splendid facility we have today, and which I am sure will serve Swindon and District well into the future. Who knows? There may one day be a 5th generation of the family running the business.